Today we're going to discuss all things Bruce Lee, from Bruce Lee movies to collectibles to Bruce Lee's weapon of choice, the nunchuck, and how Bruce Lee has been an inspiration to us all. And then James and I are going to take you on a Bruce Lee and collectible room tour through his incredible man cave. And after seeing it, I know it's going to be something you don't want to miss, and it starts right now. Hey guys, Charles Damiano here from the Bruce Lee Collection for another exciting episode, and today I'm here with Bruce Lee collector and fan, James O'Connor.
Charles.
Also known as Jimmy. I'll call you Jimmy.
Yeah.
And before we begin, I'm gonna tell the guys a story of how we met, because I thought it was funny, and then I'm really honored to be at your man cave, and thank you for walking me through already, because I was very impressed. I mean, you brought me back to the 60s and 70s as a kid here. It's crazy, from famous monsters of filmland to Aurora model kits to Bruce Lee collectibles and figures, and we'll go over all these, and then to all these custom nunchucks that you put together, which are just incredible. So we have a lot to discuss here today, but it was funny how we met, because, you know, I work in Manhattan, and I take the Metro North in from Westchester. I live in Larchmont every day, and coming home from work one day, you were the conductor on the train.
Yeah.
and I showed you my pass, and I think it was during COVID times, and we had masks on, and I saw you walking back to me, and I thought I did something wrong.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks.
Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, well, what's this guy want? Leave me alone.
And I was like, oh wow, does my pass expire? And you came up to me and you said, hey, are you Charles Damiano? And I said, yeah. I'm thinking to myself, how does this guy know me? And I probably had the channel up about 4 years already. And then you said, hey, I'm a big fan of your channel. I watch your channel all the time. So Jimmy's a big fan of the channel. He's been watching the channel. And I thought that was funny. And then we got to talking, and he told me he lived up in Connecticut. And then we bumped into each other again, I think recently in the Chiller Convention.
The Chiller Convention.
Was that last year?
Yeah, just this past Halloween.
Halloween, right?
Yeah.
And I know I did a small interview with you, and at the time you told me that you were putting together these Return of the Dragon nunchucks, and that you've been making nunchucks since you were a kid.
So I just made my ultimate Way of the Dragon nunchuck, so I'm going to send you some pictures.
Oh, really? Okay. So what did you make recently from Bruce, the nunchucks, from what film?
The Way of the Dragon. I made a replica of the ones he used in the film, which are extremely lightweight. They're foam padded. They have a leather casing, a tapered leather casing. I covered every detail.
You did. So you got the number of links that the chain, because they're longer than normal, right?
They're longer than normal. Yeah, they're like 9 inches.
9 inches.
Wow.
The chain is 9 inches. And the nunchuck does look thicker in that movie.
The thing is, people see the links and they go 12 links, and they go 11 links. I'm sorry, stick to stick. But Bruce Lee had these double loop connectors on them, which accounts for like 3 more chain links.
Yeah.
So they always look too short.
Yeah, they're an extra little attachment right there. Between the eye and the chain, there's one more attachment you put on.
A double wrap loop.
I saw that. Yeah, so it's even longer. The chain.
It's 9 inches.
And they're harder to use. I heard.
If you just go 11 links, it's too short.
Too short.
Yeah.
Well, and did you make them as thick as the original ones? You made
every detail is.
Oh, I have to see that. And you made them of foam?
Foam. His were made of thin wooden core with foam.
Foam on over them, right?
What he did was he used he stitched these leather coverings
on top of it
and rolled it over the foam.
Yeah, that's true, man.
That made them look like
wood,
you know?
But
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You did your research on that.
Oh, yeah,
I have to see those,
I've been making Bruce Lee Nunchucks since 1972.
Yeah, well, I remember when we cut up the broomsticks back in the day.
First thing I did when I came home.
Same here, man. We all did that. We all did that. I have to give you my address. I'd love to see those. We have to exchange numbers.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah, I'd like to see those.
Well, I'm friends with you on Facebook. So
oh, you are? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, all right. I think
I'll send you some pictures.
Yeah, I friended you. I remember when you said look me up, and okay, good. Yeah, send me some pictures. I'd like to see them.
I will.
That'd be awesome. Well, listen, thank you for your time here today, man.
You too.
I appreciate it.
Nice to see you.
All right, buddy. Thanks, James. So I know we're going to talk about that a little later on in the episode, because he also customs a lot of nunchucks, which we're going to get into that as well. So before we do all that, I know this would be an exciting episode. I want to kind of get a chance to understand what your background's all about, how you got started into Bruce Lee. So take us back to how you were first introduced to Bruce Lee as a kid, and how did it all start for you?
It started for me with the Kung Fu TV show.
Oh,
and
okay.
I just loved it. And I thought, I loved it so much, I actually thought David Carradine was just great.
So, yeah, well.
Yeah, and so I didn't really, I caught little glimpses of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Like, I never really watched The Green Hornet when I was a kid.
Oh,
I was
okay.
a Batman fan, and it just didn't, it didn't, grab me. Then this movie, Five Fingers of Death, opens.
Yeah.
All right, and so that movie, I just went crazy. That movie opened up a whole new world for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I came right home and made big white cuffs on my pajamas. This is so cool.
Yeah.
I loved it all. The clothes, everything.
I did too, man. It was the first time we were introduced to any kind of Hong Kong movies back in the early 70s.
That was the first one.
one.
Yeah, and it just blew me away.
Yeah, the white cuffs are funny. Everyone wanted those uniforms with the white cuffs and the white.
I cut up my slippers to have that, that cut like the Chinese shoes.
That is so funny. We all did it, man, back then. So that started for you.
Yeah. And so shortly after that, Bruce Lee's Fist of Fury opened.
Okay.
At the same time as a Shaw Brothers movie opened called Duel of the Iron Fist.
Oh, I remember that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was given a choice. You can go see either one. Which one do you want to go see? And you want to go see the Bruce Lee one? And here was my answer. Nah, he makes American movies.
Really?
Because I wanted to see more of the exotic Iron Fist, the hand, shoving the hands in the rocks. I just associated Bruce Lee with like American television because that's all I knew. I didn't know anything about him. Mm-hmm. So I went to see that movie instead, and I remember just being kind of disappointed because it wasn't Five Fingers of Death.
No, I know.
It was like a lot of knife fighting.
Yeah, I liked the more hand-to-hand combat myself, like Five Fingers of Death when I saw those in
the boxing movies.
Me too. Yeah, once you saw the weapons, it never did it for me either.
So I just remember being kind of disappointed in the movie, and I was like, that was cool, but So a couple of months later, maybe a couple months, the Chinese Connection opens. So it was playing with a double feature with a Lee Marvin movie called Prime Cut.
I think I remember that movie.
My parents wanted to see the Lee Marvin movie, so I'm getting to go see the Chinese Connection
double
now,
feature movie there.
So I'm excited because I would stare at this ad in the paper just because it looks so cool.
It does.
And
it's
the
fantastic.
newspaper.
Yeah, that was a great one.
So we go to the theater, and we get to the theater late. So I walk into the theater right in the middle of the dojo fight.
Oh, man.
And that's my introduction to Bruce Lee. When he already had the nunchaku out. And then,
wow.
Yeah. It
When
was
he's
like,
in the Japanese
boom, it was like getting hit, So, yeah, no build up,
nothing.
Just wham, and it was just, that's why I was so fascinated with the nunchaku. That was my first, impression of Bruce Lee.
Well, yeah, I think that was the first movie that introduced the nunchaka to the United States.
It did.
That was his first movie. He introduced it. When he whipped that out, I think the kids went nuts.
Right.
And
they just look so cool with the black sticks and the you'd look in the Black Belt magazine. The only nunchaku that was available was that Okinawa one with the little short rope.
Yeah. Everyone was searching for them back in the day. I remember going through the martial art magazines myself and seeing which ones look like the ones he used.
Right.
And none of them did.
Cool. They were cool
yeah. Well, a lot of his were custom made by
long chain,
by cool. George Lee. So that he had his custom. So they really stood out on screen, which was kind of great. So Chinese Connection then was your first introduction.
My first introduction
to Bruce Lee.
And then it's still my favorite. Bruce
it is.
I'm gonna have to stand with Hector. You have to go with Hector on that.
Yeah,
one.
you and Hector.
Yeah.
Chinese Connection. Yeah, mine's still Enter the Dragon with Chinese Connection, a very close second. So those two of my favorite movies as well. Yeah. Wow. So then when did you go back and see Fists of Fury?
I didn't get to see that till... Actually, I didn't see that till after I saw Enter the Dragon.
Oh, so you saw then Enter the Dragon next.
Enter the Dragon was next, yeah. My friend calls me up and he says... Hey, I won tickets on the radio to the sneak preview of that movie. And I knew what he was talking about. I was like, really? He goes, yeah, you want to go? We just got to get a ride. I'll get us a ride. So I think my grandmother gave us a ride.
Because you were probably 13 back then, right?
I was 13.
13, because I think I was 13, 14 back then. We're about the same age.
Yeah, I was 13. And so we go to the theater, and it was a sneak preview. So it was a couple of nights before the movie opened.
Yeah.
And we walk in, and they had these big banners hanging up in the theater. One had Bruce Lee, John Saxon, and Jim Kelly.
Ooh.
And they had a local dojo giving a demonstration in the lobby.
Really? What theater was that?
It was in Orange, Connecticut here. It was like the multiplex theater.
Really?
Back then, multiplex was like 3 cinemas. But
and they had all that set up in the lobby?
They had this whole big thing set up. These huge flags hanging with them on it. Oh. And, the demonstration, it was just so cool. It was like a major event.
Yeah, those promotional flags now are worth a lot of money. Cosetta Stokes, who's a fan of the channel, has those promotional fans with Jim Kelly, John Saxon, Bruce Lee.
But I remember seeing that as soon as I walked in. Wow, this is so cool. So we get up to where the usher is, and he looks at my grandmother and he says, "Ma'am, we don't let kids into R-rated movies." I'm like, no!
That's how it was back in the day. And your grandmother wasn't, even if she went in with you, were they going to let you? She had to go in with you, right?
She goes, listen, they won the tickets on the radio, and that's not, he goes, all right, I'll make an exception this one time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah, they were a little less strict back then. Sometimes you can kind of talk yourself into getting in. Yeah. Not always.
But here, they were really strict.
Were they strict?
They were strict.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let you in.
So you probably saw it then, probably when it aired, because I remember it came out August 19th in 73 is when it hit the United States here. So you probably saw it right about there, because you won the tickets, right?
Yeah, and it was the sneak preview.
And that was the screening, the sneak preview. Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you think of that movie when you saw it?
It was just, the whole thing was just magic. We went in the theater was packed, and the lights went down, and the theater was completely silent. Just silent. Man. And I'll never forget the Warner Brothers W. Yeah. Coming at you. And you hear the drums. It was just so freaking cool.
Nothing like that.
It was just cool, man. I just remember that moment of that kind of hearing the drums, and it was just like, wow, this is just awesome.
And then the opening scene was crazy.
I love the opening scene.
And to think that wasn't going to be in the movie.
It wasn't going to be in the,
Right? That was an afterthought. Bruce said, we need something that's going to really make it.
You need someone to grab
somebody in the beginning.
Yeah, perfect.
And so I heard that was the last scene filmed. So that was really the scene prior to him passing was the last one they filmed.
The last thing he shot.
With Sammo Hung. And man, what an opening scene that was, because that really grabbed you.
Just the whole atmosphere with the monks sitting around.
And the colors and the reds.
The finger gloves. I never saw that before.
No.
It's everywhere today, but I mean, you never saw that.
Yeah, no, those Kempo gloves back in the day, the finger gloves. Everything was so cool. And that's why they say, and then also him doing a little of the grappling. That's why there's that big debate now. Was he the father of MMA? Because he was really dabbling in it back in the 70s, right?
Yeah, with Gene LaBelle.
With Gene LaBelle.
Grappling and stuff,
And we never saw anything like what he depicted on screen before in our lives. That's why I think he became so legendary, because it was the first time that we witnessed that on screen here in the United States.
Yeah, the impact of it was incredible.
Crazy, right?
Because it was true. It was what he did, Everything was very direct. I mean, it wasn't a lot of fluff. It was just, so it had like a devastating power to it,
That's what I liked about his movies. And he always said that he wanted there to be a lot of realism in the fights. So when you actually saw the fight, it looked like it could actually be a real fight.
Well, when they made the big boss, they wanted him to fight like everybody else.
Robotic.
And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm just going to kick this guy.
Right.
He said, well, how's that going to work? He says, because nobody could survive one of my kicks.
It's a good thing they went that route, because you could see the difference when James Tien is fighting and he looks very robotic,
absolutely.
That old school
Hong
Kong, back and forth.
Not that with
and
Bruce
then
Lee.
Bruce comes on screen,
boom,
and he does that first pass kick to the guy, and he goes down and he makes that face.
Yeah.
It was like, holy, what did I just see?
Such a power behind it.
Man.
Yeah, it's just powerful.
Yeah, no, it's just, it left an impression to this day, even after 50 years.
I remember watching the interviews with the Hong Kong stuntmen that worked on Enter the Dragon. Yeah. Talking about that shot where he's about to trying to open the elevator doors.
Oh yeah.
And then he stops and turns around, and they were just talking about just the sheer power of the technique there. Just
really.
Yeah, because it's just boom,
Boom, boom.
bang. You know, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that was that's a great scene. A lot of people say that's one of their favorite because it's all open arm combat. It's just hand-to-hand combat, right?
Combat,
And
yeah.
a lot of it is what he learned in Wing Chun. A lot of it's the trapping and just
and there's
one
not
punch,
a lot
boom,
of
boom.
camera cuts
No.
where you're like trying to it's
Figure
just
out.
right there for you to see.
Yeah. The way he staged
just
fight
awesome.
scenes, it was just incredible. I mean, they never, before that, it was, John Wayne punching someone and them flying over a bar or a stool.
Yeah.
And then Bruce comes out and these choreographed fights, it was like nothing we've seen
Nobody ever
before.
saw anything like that before.
Yeah, that's why the impact was so great. And
Yeah, that's like walking in the middle of that dojo scene. That's like a gut punch. Man. I just stood there like...
It is a gut punch. Man, to walk into that.
Yeah, and then after both movies were over, I was like, okay, we're going, no, wait, we got to stay and see the parts we missed. I'm like, I get to see that again, yeah.
Because you missed like probably 20 minutes of the film,
20
right?
minutes, yeah. I missed all the lead up and the build up.
Yeah, to when he enters the... so you probably stayed for the whole movie again, right?
And I don't think,
No,
but I got to see the dojo fight again.
Okay, yeah. Man, yeah, I remember as a kid going to the movie theaters. Me and my friends would always have to sit through it a second time, and if there was a double feature, it was always painful because then you had to watch the double feature again,
Right,
and then before it got back to the Bruce movie, and sometimes you were at the theater, 8 hours because you watched everything twice.
You spent the whole day at the theater.
But you had to see it because you'd always try to capture and see what you can capture on screen because everything was so fast.
Yeah.
You wanted to see it again because you go, what did he do there?
And we had no, video. Or
No, to go back.
So you just caught glimpses of it in the theater.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you stared at the magazines and looked at the pictures. That's all you had,
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So then, do you remember when you saw then Return of the Dragon? Was that the next one, or did Game of Death come out?
No, I saw the Big Boss after finally.
You finally saw
a while after Enter the Dragon, and then when Return of the Dragon came out, I got to see it.
Yeah, in '74 that came out, and then you saw that with Chuck Norris, and that was another eye opener,
which was cool because early on I didn't know anything about Return of the Dragon or Game of Death because there was no even the magazines, there was no information on them.
No.
So it wasn't until I saw a picture of Bruce holding the double nunchucks.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that from? That's cool.
Yeah.
Now the first time I saw double nunchucks was in a movie called Corrado the Hong Kong Cat.
Oh.
It was a.
The Hong Kong Cat was its name, right? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So he had the double, and I was like, "Wow, you could use 2 nunchucks. That's so cool." Had no idea. Of course, it came from Bruce, right? Had no idea until I saw that picture later on of Bruce holding, and then those nunchucks were just the coolest.
Yeah, they were
they were just awesome looking, and
they were like very club-like in Return of the Dragon.
Right,
a little thicker at the bottom and tape it up right at the. And you've made quite a few of them throughout the years, which we'll get to in a second. So that must have been an eye opener seeing him use the double chucks for the first time, right?
Oh yeah,
that was the first time I saw him use the double nunchucks as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So when did you actually start making the nunchucks? Then was it after Chinese Connection, or was it after
I got home from the theater? From the Chinese Connection.
So it was.
Yeah. I had a big workbench in the basement with all these tools and stuff, so I just went down there and started
cutting,
hacking, sawing a broomstick in half, and I colored them black with magic marker.
Oh, you did? Yeah. You didn't even paint them at the time, right?
Yeah, right.
That's funny.
Right.
Yeah, we all did that. I think our parents probably were a little upset. We would cut up the mop sticks and the broomsticks.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to get the eyes. I remember all we did was put eyes in at the time.
The eye hooks.
Got them into the best you could, and then you found a chain of some sort to put on there.
Right.
Wow, man, we all did that as a kid.
Yeah.
That was funny.
But
and then later on, you decided to kind of specialize in the chucks because you started doing research on how they were made. When did you start doing that, where you actually started researching how they were made?
The Bruce Lee's nunchucks just looked so cool. So I knew they were foam. I knew that they weren't wood, that what he was using.
Yeah.
Because you could see by where the light reflects off, they were kind of lumpy looking, a little wavy a little bit. But how were they like so shiny and black? Couldn't figure it out.
Yeah,
I made them every way you could think of. I made them with wrapping foam with tape and then painting liquid rubber over it, and it just never looked right.
Oh, you did the liquid rubber thing?
I did the liquid in the 70s.
Wow.
Trying to get them to look like, so how, because foam rubber is not shiny like,
No,
doesn't have
it doesn't have the shine to some of these. Yep.
Right.
Yep. So then you...
one day I figured it out because I saw the seam going down and looking close, I could see the little bits of the stitching in the seam.
Yeah.
They're made with a leather...
what picture did you see that in?
He's sitting in the cavern in the cave.
Oh, and that's when he had
hanging around his neck. And if you look, you could see the seam in there.
Got you.
And the stitches was very rough on those. Those Enter the Dragon nunchucks were very crudely made.
Yeah.
But you can see it. And just like that, you can see the seam and everything, and that's what I figured.
So these are a replica of Enter the Dragon then, right? Because these have the seam over here.
Right.
And so you picked that up from the photo where he's sitting with the
Way of the Dragon
suit.
were made the same way. They were just made a little better than the Enter the Dragon ones were. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as he went on, they got better made. Yeah.
But so that's how I figured, and then I had to figure out how do I make a pattern and sew it and.
Wow.
It's You
spent a lot of time learning how to make the nunchucks.
Yeah. So this pair I made in '78.
Oh, you did?
18 years old.
Wow, and they look beautiful, man.
And I've swung them around plenty over the years.
Numerous times.
Hold up, yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. And you made these with the foam, right? Because obviously they're soft.
Padded, with the leather. I cut up my members only jacket for the leather because it had a nice thin leather.
Yeah. Oh, so this
is an old members only jacket. I cut it up.
So you actually used real leather on these from the members only jacket at the time, and you even made the bottom really nice with the way he had them stitched the bottom. In that same kind of pattern. Almost like a little X at the bottom where it's all stitched together.
Right.
Wow, and a little more rounded at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, no, you did a great job
Thanks,
on these, James. You really did. Yeah.
And he used these connector pieces on most of the chucks. On the Way of the Dragon chucks are kind of open on top a little bit, and these are kind of set in with the foam, which is why sometimes you see it's kind of leaning, or sometimes it's sticking straight up, or if he's pulling on it, it's sideways like that. But that was eventually going to chew up that foam rubber.
Yeah.
So I do them on the Enter the Dragon nunchaku. These are on the outside like this. This piece is outside, which they'll last longer. So that's why I seal up the tops like that and just leave this outside a little bit.
Is that how he had them though? Did he have them that way or no?
Yes,
he did.
Yeah, exactly for Enter the Dragon. But like I said, on the Way of the Dragon, this was in the foam a little bit.
Foam bit. Okay.
So it was eventually they were
gonna wear it out. Yeah.
But you know what? To him, these were just a throwaway prop.
Yeah. It was actually in. Yeah, because
it was in a little bit.
Was there a swivel in it at that time?
There
or no?
Could have been. I don't
maybe,
think so.
Yeah, maybe that's why it went deep down. But these are beautiful.
If you notice when the Italian guy picks him up in Way of the Dragon, he goes like this. And when he moves it out, you could see this piece moving in the foam.
Yeah.
As a solid piece.
I got you.
Like that.
Yeah. Wow. You really got every detail down, man.
And you know what's funny is those chucks look so big on Bruce.
Yeah.
But when that guy picks them up, they look small on him.
Yeah. No, it does. I mean? Yeah.
They look small on him because of the...
And were all his chucks about 12 inches? Is that what this is? Is it 12 inch?
Those are, I think, a 13.
13? Okay.
These are 12 and a half. 13.
Is that what they made chucks usually at? 12 and a half to 13?
It was either 12 or 14. 14.
Wow, so it could even went up as 14 because
a lot of the traditional Okinawan were 14 inch.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I thought they all stayed around 12. I didn't realize that they were even bigger than that. Because the ones in Return of the Dragon look like it probably could have been a little bigger. Because they look like clubs in that movie.
Yeah, but right? they were fat.
They were fatter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
they were fatter.
You think they were between probably 12 and a half and 13
inches?
They
were probably
still?
around 12 and a half inches.
Wow. Well, I remember when you said you were making the Return of the Dragon ones. And I got so excited when you were telling me that in the Chilla convention.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, really? You're gonna make? And you go like, yeah, I'm gonna make an exact replica. And how many links were in the chain?
I already made replicas of the Return of the Dragon ones. I was just like refreshing them.
I got you.
Ones. Yeah.
Yeah. How many links did he have in his chain? Do you remember?
He's at 11 links.
11 links.
Chain. Well, the Enter the Dragon ones had 9 links. But it's a smaller chain.
Smaller chain.
Smaller chain, and you have all this. These spring clips.
Yeah.
I don't know why he had these on here. I'm guessing that the chain probably broke, and this was just like a quick fix.
Ah.
You know, because this doesn't make any sense.
To have the spring clips in there. We'll show a close up of those spring clips.
Yeah.
These are the ones you made me, man. I wanted to thank you. I know that I got this around Christmas time, and it was like a really nice Christmas gift that you sent me.
Cool,
so I wanted to officially thank you for sending me these Return of the Dragon ones, because I just loved them when I opened them up and I took them out of the box. So this is a present from James, and this was based off of him telling me that he was making this at the Chilla convention. And so when I opened this up, I was really impressed on the quality and how you made them, man. So why don't you talk us through the Return of the Dragon? How do they differ from the Enter the Dragon? You're saying the chain is longer now on these?
No, it's about the same length.
But there was 11 links?
The 11 links, and the links are bigger.
They're bigger, okay.
Yeah, a little bigger. But yeah, 11 links plus this. You know, this added piece here makes them a little bit longer. So if you were to go 11 links right to the stick, they look short.
Oh, I got you.
You know, so
but he had
these pieces in here which added a little bit.
And he had these added pieces on it when you look at the photo.
Yeah. But like I said, on the Way of the Dragon, these are set in a little bit. The tops were open.
I got you.
I just like to close off the tops like that, because they'll last forever. You know?
Yeah, and you could probably swing them without it tearing up the leather as it's going around.
Tear up the foam. Yeah.
No, you did a great job on here, and I noticed that you've also tapered them a little bit. It starts thinner down here, and it comes a little thicker on the bottom. So these are beautiful, man. Thank you so much, man. I want to thank you for sending me these. These are beautiful, guys. Return of the Dragon custom chucks. Finally got myself a pair. Just like Bruce used.
And all this time I thought I was the only nutcase.
No.
Obsessed over Bruce Lee's nunchucks.
We all nut jobs over his chucks.
But yeah, there's a lot of guys out there making them now, and everybody. I love seeing them all. I love seeing what people do with them and stuff. A lot of people make them.
Yeah, no, there's even a guy in the UK who's making them now, and
I've seen his. He does a really nice job.
I forget his name, really but Stripey had them on his show, and was showing them as well. And some of them make them with the foam, right, and the leather, and then some of them make the wood versions.
Yeah. See, these are the wood versions.
Oh, these are the wood
of the Way of the Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you made these as well.
Yeah, and these are basically a lightweight wood, but it's ash wood.
Yeah.
So ash wood is hard, but it's a little lightweight.
Got ya.
It's most lightweight woods are soft, but so that's why I use that. But,
and this one you have the eye that moves a little bit in there, so it actually spins better.
Yeah.
And that's what you were talking about. It has more of the hole in the wood, right?
Right.
So it can spin better. Wow, these are beautiful, man. And these are your wood ones of Return of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Nice.
2 sets. Yeah.
Wow, those are beautiful, buddy.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, love them.
Yeah.
But when you practice, you got to use the soft ones, because as kids, do you remember all the bruises we had on our head as kids?
Right here, all the time.
And on your elbow?
The elbow was
once it clocked you there in the back of your head, you're like,
Yeah.
And then you quickly stop practicing them until do you remember when in Chinatown we had they actually made a really nice Return of the Dragon set with Bruce Lee's picture on the cover with the nunchuck and the white tank top.
Really?
Hecht actually has the whole set still in his collection. I just have the backboard, and I can't find my chucks, but they were plastic. They made them.
Plastic.
Yeah, they were just plastic, and they at least gave you the ability to practice with them without getting beat up.
Right.
So I remember buying those in the 70s from New York City, Chinatown.
Was that Buckley Tot?
Yeah, Buckley Tot.
I got to go there when I was a kid.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my parents took us to New York for the day, and I got to go.
Yeah,
that was so cool with the billboard.
Oh man,
yeah.
I used to go there just to look up and look at that billboard with Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. It was one of the biggest billboards at that time, and to see that in the 70s was crazy. Wow, I'm glad you got to see that store.
I was lucky to get to go there, yeah.
It's historic, that store. It's still there. Hector and I did...
It's on Mott Street
It's on Mott Street, yeah. So they changed it, and the billboard's no longer up there, and it looks completely different now. But the way it looked back in the 70s was incredible.
You guys did a video from the store, right?
From the store.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, no, it was really nice. So, so these are great, man. So tell me, Bruce Lee was... is such an inspiration to so many people around the world, and even to this day, people get inspired in so many different ways. I mean, when I first got introduced to Bruce Lee, he was the one that inspired me to get into fitness and maintain fitness. I studied Wing Chun a little bit. I studied a little JKD. Everyone wanted to do martial arts. And then I started collecting Bruce Lee memorabilia because I wanted to learn all I could about him. Did he inspire you in any ways that impacted your life?
Yeah, same thing for fitness and working out.
The whole thing.
I still train hard as I can.
You do, yeah.
Even though it's hard to keep the fat off me, I work out.
As you get older, right? I know.
My wife thinks, like, can't you just take a break for a day? No, I love it. You know? And that's a lot because of the influence of Bruce Lee.
Right? It's amazing.
He influenced me as a kid to get into supplements. I would read about the protein shakes
that he made.
And, to this day, nothing's changed.
No, I know.
Still vitamin, supplement. We'd read the Joe Eater magazine and then ride our bikes to the health food store and get a can of the Super Pro.
Stay tuned for part 2 as we move forward with our discussion on how Bruce Lee continues to be an influence and inspiration in our lives. More on Bruce Lee's incredible nunchucks, and then join us for a Bruce Lee and Collectibles room tour of Jimmy O'Connor's Man Cave. Something I know you don't want to miss, and much, much more coming soon.